Here we have the regular meeting of the Weyburn City Council held in council chambers at 5 p.m. Monday, November 25th. The first thing on the agenda, and we welcome everybody here, and we've got our junior mayor sitting with us here today, Megan Ebel, and she will have some information for us too. So we will commence this meeting by asking for the approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting and strategic planning and priorities meeting held November 12th, 2019. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion, Your Worship.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Call the question. Everybody in favor? Carried unanimously. Additions to the agenda. Mr. Warren?
Your Worship, there's none from administration tonight.
Council? We also must make note that Mr. Mickle is absent here. Put that into the minutes, if you would, please, tonight. We have we look for a public hearing notice. There is none. There are no delegations and proclamations or petitions. Reports of standing committees, none. Consent agenda. Accounts receivable report. Do I have a motion, please?
Your Worship, I'd like to make the motion that the accounts receivable report for October 2019 be approved as presented.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
No questions? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Moving to motions. Accounts payable, if we would, please.
Yes, Your Worship, I have a motion that the purchases in the amount of $1,907,390.62 from November 8th to November 21st, 2019 be paid.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Call the question. I guess before we call the question, any discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. The 2020 chemical tender, if we would, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this is a report from Engineering Assistant Phil Parkin. So they sent out a request on October 29th for water treatment plant chemical supply tender for 2020. This is posted on SAS Tenders. They received multiple bids through that from 8 different suppliers. And they were received on and before November 15th at 2 p.m. And like I said, there was 8 received for the bids. All the tenders were accepted except for the ones from Shannon Chemical because they're excluded from consideration to the product not meeting the manufacturer source requirements. So there's a recommendation from Engineering Assistant Parkin that the following 2020 chemical supply quotations be accepted. So the very first one is from Brente Canada Inc. For potassium permanganate. We'll struggle through all these. Good luck to me tonight for these. At $5.94 a kilogram.
Mr. Bailey said that he's done this very well, and he'll go through that.
The second one is from Brente Canada for chlorine gas, which is $1.05 a kilogram. Third one is from Border Chemical Company for liquid aluminum sulfate at 0.357 a kilogram. Fourth one's from Brente Canada Inc. Quotation was for from HFS acid for $1.309 kilograms. Fourth from Brente Canada quotation from next one's 5 Cleartech Industries for sodium hydroxide solution at 0.5154 a kilogram, and the 6th one's from Brente Canada for Superflock C496 at $6.86 a kilogram. Any questions from council? I will not be saying those again.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Manager Warren. I know we come up with all these pronunciations every year. Have we ever looked, or is there a reason why we don't tender this for 2 or 3 years at one time, or would it be an advantage for us or a disadvantage?
Yeah, and it's all based on the requirement for the chemicals. So each year, our superintendent, Shabir Shakrani, does a review of what we have for chemicals for the water plant, and all depends on what they need for usage per year. They don't want to over order for 2 or 3 years. It's actually quite expensive order for us each year for chemicals for the water treatment plant. So they choose just to do 1 year at a time for that.
Okay, totally understood. So what you're saying with some of these things, our water changes, so we don't use as much as this, but we need more of that sort of thing.
That's correct, and the amount they require may change
Yep.
from year to year as
Okay,
well.
understood. Well, just as long as I don't have to read it out, every year, well, that's fine. I'm okay with you guys doing
It's
that.
not your punishment this year to do that.
I think Counselor Richards has a more in-depth theory on it here later, so.
Yeah, you can see Councilor Bailey was early in the chambers tonight and distributed some things around. Your worship, I'll be grateful to the city manager for working his way through this, and I'll,
Can you read, we could just say. all
As
the chemical-
presented?
As presented, because I think that'd be much easier.
I think that's what
We'll
we
just
should
say-
do, your
we'll
worship.
just
I'd
do
be
it.
happy to
We'll
make
just
a
do it as-
motion.
yeah.
The
As
chemical purchase, as presented by the city manager,
Yes.
be approved.
Do I have a
I'll
second
second that, your worship.
discussion?
I believe it's pronounced permanganate, if that was your question, Councilor Wheeler.
Seeing no further questions, all in favor? Carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Your worship,
Gordon-
that's cheating.
That's, well, I just thought it's clinging close to Christmas. There's a Christmas gift.
It's just efficient use of time.
That's right, efficient use of time. So. The Gordon Miles Outdoor Rink, if you would, please. Oh, Mr. Crowe, our leisure director. Go ahead.
Thank you, your worship. I've got some lighter reading than City Manager Warren, so hopefully I'll get through it okay. So Mr. Ryan Burney is once again requested to construct an outdoor rink at Gordon Miles Place Park for the 2019-20 season. Mr. Burney's been installing a rink at this location since 2016, and he'd like to continue with operations for another year. In addition to this, he would also like to place a temporary warm-up shack within the park to be used by those accessing the rink. In previous years, Mr. Burney allowed users of the rink to make use of his garage. However, this option is no longer available just due to limited space inside his property. Since 2016, there's been positive feedback from the community in regards to the rink. Maintenance of the facility has been properly conducted and obligations within previous written agreements have been met. So the Leisure Services Department has no issue with the request to once again proceed with the outdoor rink, as it's believed that the construction doesn't have any serious implications on the park space itself, and the arena serves as a great recreational opportunity to the community. In the addition to the rink, as I mentioned earlier, Mr. Burney requested to place a warm-up shack within the park as well. So the proposed warm-up shack will be temporarily placed within the park next to Mr. Burney's fence and would be removed at the end of the season in coordination with the arena when he takes it down at the end of the year. The proposed shack would have one small 110-volt electric heater to provide a warm environment for users to tie their skates or warm up on a cold day. So to determine any concerns and to ensure the safety of future users at the park, making use of the warm-up shack, the city building and planning department and the fire department were also consulted. So the building and planning department does not see any issue with the temporary warm-up shack being placed within the park as long as the shack is at least or less than 100 square feet in size and is located a minimum of 6 inches from the property line. The City of Weyburn Fire Department, however, did raise some concerns in regards to the power source being used for the warm-up shack and has set out the following guidelines for Mr. Burney to follow if he's granted approval. So as the structure, as power to the warm-up shack would not be considered temporary by fire code, all wiring to the shack must be permanently attached and be protected from potential damage, and a small fire extinguisher must be accessible within the warm-up shack as well. So I would like to make the recommendation that Mr. Burney and the City of Weyburn enter into a written agreement allowing for the construction and operation of an outdoor arena and the placement of a temporary warm-up shack within Gordon Miles Place Park for the 2019-20 season. Mr. Burney must adhere to all obligations and guidelines included within the agreement, or the City of Weyburn may order Mr. Burney to remove the rink or the warm-up shack at any time. So basically, Within the agreement, we've made some allowances so he can place the shack and not have it powered if he isn't able to meet the guidelines that have been set out by fire, or if he's able to meet the guidelines and the recommendations from fire, then he's able to run power to the facility. So basically, he's having options to use it either way, powered or not.
Your worship, I'll move that administration be authorized to sign an agreement as presented with Ryan Burney for the operation and maintenance of an outdoor rink for public use at Gordon Miles Place for the 2019-2020 winter season, and to install a temporary warm-up building with the terms and conditions as set out in the agreement.
I can second that, Your Worship.
Discussion? Go ahead.
Thanks, Your Worship. First off, commentary, great on Mr. Burney and his neighbors. Also, kudos to you, Director Crow, for getting this to this point. If you could just provide us some clarity, though, on the new warm-up shack and its proposed electrification. Where does that power come from, and who would be responsible for it?
Right, so Mr. Burney's proposal has him running power to the shack from his property, just as he does for the lights for the rink as well. So that's his plan.
Thank
moving
you.
Forward. Yeah.
Any other comments? I believe that this is the only, until we get the other rink going, we've got limited a number of rinks in town. So again, it's very good on Mr. Burney providing this on his own. So with that being said, call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Introduction, there's no introduction of bylaws. There's no unfinished business, no new business. We now moves us to there's a couple of things. Number one, just before we get to Ms. Ebel over here, I would like to, when we are on the rink topic, do you want to come back, Mr. Crow? Sure. Okay. Seeing there was, come up to the podium for an announcement.
Something there.
No.
So there's been some exciting development from the Leisure Service Department, and we've recently entered into agreement with John Halbert Construction, which will allow the city to access their vacant lot located on the corner of 2nd Street and Service Avenue for the purpose of installation and the operations of an outdoor community leisure skating rink. The outdoor skating rink will be used as another venue to promote healthy activity and community development within the city of Weyburn. The skating service will be installed and maintained by the Leisure Services Department with help from the Public Works Department, and will be constructed in a manner to promote accessible and inclusive leisure skating opportunities. And use of the rink will be provided free of charge to the entire community. I will add that this is intended to be a leisure skating facility, and there will be no hockey nets or sporting equipment permitted on the site. So the rink will provide residents one more reason to visit the downtown core, and we intend to create partnerships which will link the local business community and service clubs with a great location to engage in the community through different events and activities that they'll be able to host throughout the winter. The installation of the skating rink is weather dependent. However, we hope to have it installed as soon as possible, and we've been looking at the long-term weather, and we plan to get started actually tomorrow night. So there will be some more details released as we get going forward, but we're very excited for what's taking place, and we'll be sure to inform the public as soon as the skating rink is deemed open.
Is it going to be a big round circle?
So what we're planning is kind of an oval in shape with actually space in the middle of the ice surface where we plan to have picnic tables, a space for groups to set up to hold different events. We might see about putting in some sort of a fire pit for one-time use or during certain events. And then we also hope to add some Christmas lights and some other stuff in the space. So we're really excited. It's year one, so we'll see how this year goes with it. And then moving forward, we'll see what we can adjust along the way.
Well done for whoever came up with that brainchild. That was very well done. So appreciate that. So go ahead.
No, I'm just agreeing with you. This is very exciting.
Mr. Van Betcher.
Thank you. Yeah, kudos to the leisure department, and I think that's a great attraction to have in town, and along with the tourism and our lights in the park is a great addition. And I have to get, even though Councillor Mickle isn't here tonight, and I don't often give him kudos because we're usually on the opposite side, but I've had many good comments on the lights behind the statue, the Pioneer Lady
Pioneer
statue.
Women's statue,
Yeah,
so.
had a lot of good comments on that. So again, I think it was Councillor Mickle that brought that forward and pushed that item, so.
That's
Yes.
glad to hear. I'll relay that on to our park staff.
And that kind of all rolls into Twilight. December 1st is the kickoff for night for the Monday, December 2nd is the kickoff for down at River Park. There's been lots of people talking to me about that. It's been well publicized. And are you going to have like kind of like hot chocolate that night and fire? So what time is that going to kick off? At 7 p.m. So on December 2nd. So that is really good. Now the floor is to you, and if you would go up there, please, or just stay right there. Yes.
Right here?
Right there.
So this month at the Weyburn Comp, we are collecting winter accessories and winter gear that we are donating to the Salvation Army. So we'd like to invite anybody from the community to bring toques, mitts, scarves, boots, jackets, ski pants, or any other winter gear you have. It can be new or used, and if you bring it into the Cognate Center, there's a big bin just inside the door. And we're doing this till Friday. So if you have any donations to bring in by Friday, that would be great. And we're donating it all to the Salvation Army, as I might have mentioned. And the other announcement I have is that our Entrepreneurship 30 class this year at the Comp has started up our Junior Achievement Company called Super Snacks. So we are selling dry soup mixes and snack mixes. And we're donating 10% of all of our profits at the end of the year to the Canadian Mental Health Association, the branch in Weyburn. And we have order forms here tonight, and you can pick them up at the office at the Comp School, and we are on Instagram and Facebook as well.
And there are a variety of snacks, and they vary in price from?
Our small snack mixes are $5.99, and our large snack mixes are $9.99, and then our soups are $8.99.
And I know that I will purchase 2 of them for $20, which Mr. Richards said he would match anything, on almost double, I
In
think.
fact, Your Worship, Megan, you'll be happy to know that Councillor Van Betju has challenged all of council to order at least 1 or 2 products from you here tonight. He said he was going to challenge all of council to that. And administration. And the folks in the gallery also.
Yeah,
Minimum of 2. Cost of admission.
yeah, so. Anyway, so that'll be very, very well done. Good for you, and we hope you're best in that project, too.
Yeah, I'd like to bring to everybody's attention something that's near and dear to my heart, Your Worship, and that's the Family Place Christmas Tree Auction and their gala, I guess you want to call it, that's happening right now down at Barber Motors. If you haven't seen this, it's just worth the entertainment to go down. So you don't have to be a tree purchaser to take advantage of supporting this organization. But just to let everybody know, this is their 20th year of doing this. And I can't believe that many years have gone by, but yes, 20 years that is really this item of how they fundraise has really been fundamental in keeping their doors open. So come down Thursday night. The ceremony started at 6 o'clock, and shortly after that, then the live tree auction. I went through the day and counted. There's about the typical amount, about 23, 24 trees, and a few other great things to do your Christmas shopping at if you wish there, with a lot of silent auction items. So come down. If you can't get in the Christmas spirit by walking through there, you don't have a pulse. So maybe that's a little harsh, but no, it's very good. Coming to support a very needed organization in our community. So hope to see you there on Thursday night.
Go ahead, Mr. Richards.
Thanks, Your Worship. I'll just wrap it up. I just want to congratulate our junior mayor, Megan Ebel. She's got her council functioning very well, and in fact, we met last Thursday, they entertained a presentation from Fire Chief Almond on the junior firefighter program, and she's got some pretty exciting stuff on their agenda going forward, so thank you for doing that.
Further announcements? December holidays, I guess, that we're going to get into for December holidays at City Hall. Have you mentioned that, or is that too early to mention?
Not this time, Your Worship.
Oh, not this time? Okay, we'll talk about that in December.
Thank you.
of that, because I guess we're just in November, pushing the envelope here. With that being said, there's no further, no notice of motion, so we shall call this meeting to adjournment.